Hello and welcome to the Midas Touches. I'm your host Tris Tusa, and this is Charlie Brandon. Welcome back to another episode of the Midas Touches. I can barely contain my excitement, ladies and gentlemen. It is Guineas Week. Charlie, welcome back.
Thanks, Tris. Thank you. Yes, very, very exciting. Guineas Week is upon us. This is my favourite weekend of the year. Always look forward to this one, not just for the racing, but it's also a very fun weekend as well. I'm sure we're going to have a laugh again for the, what is this, the 7th year we've been or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think first went to the Guineas. Actually, it was probably like 2017. It was actually quite late, but I guess we used to be at school during school, so we couldn't get off. Sometimes it was like Tuesday, Wednesday back in the day. And I think we've gone every single year since, apart from COVID, and I am absolutely pumped to be back there. You've already been to Newmarket this year with a trip to the Craven meeting. Any tips for punters coming out of that one? Did you have a good time?
Well, it reminded me how tricky it is to bet on the Royal Mile course. Certainly from my perspective anyway. I'm sure some people enjoy it, but I've had my difficult times in the past on the Royal Mile course, but I've come here with a renewed confidence. I think we've got a different way of looking at horses that's going to stand us in really good stead for this weekend. So I can only be excited about what's to come.
Yeah, it's a very, very exciting weekend we have ahead of us. I think we tried to look at the racing collaboratively, which tends to put us in good stead. We've also had the Punchestown Festival, which is, a difficult weekend and a difficult week in terms of punting. It seems to go on and on when actually, we're just more focused on the flat racing now. But Lossie's Mouth won again, looked pretty convincing. Galopin des Champs was beaten by Fast or Slow, which is a massive form boost for the Grand National winner.
Yeah, and of course, a big story coming out of that is that Brave Man's Game was able to run in that race against Galopin des Champs. Obviously, neither of them ended up winning, but ownership of Brave Man's Game was passed over so that John Dance no longer owned a share in the horse, which meant that the horse was able to run over in Ireland. But yeah, my focus wasn't perhaps necessarily on the Punchestown Festival, though did keep an eye on the big headlines. Yeah,
it was, a great week's racing, it always is. But I think our attention is more focused on the flat season now. Epictetus was another winner for your horses to follow for this year. Some close form ties with Auguste, Rodin, and also a couple of others in the field who we'll come to a bit later on. It's been a great start to the flat season. We also saw Bay Bridge beaten, one of Sir Michael Stout's, and a leading light of the 1 mile 2 furlong division beaten on debut. Anything to take away from that?
Not necessarily, I don't think. Probably bigger targets ahead. Interesting that he went out to France for that first run. But who won that race in the end? I can't remember.
I can't remember. It was not
Vedeni basically either. So anyway, the eventual winner, I can't remember who it was, so I didn't really have much comment.
Yeah,
but no, Bay Bridge will still be there or thereabouts in that division this year.
Yeah,
I wouldn't rule him out based on that run. I am excited. Epictetus, I am excited about though. But I'd be interested. Maybe he's goes over to France.
Sluggish, isn't he?
He might go over to France though.
Yeah, like Mishriff did.
Yeah, I could see Gosden sending him over to France, which I think is a shame because he was actually the horse I put up for the Derby, but he didn't rule out the Derby. But I think he was also mentioning the Prix Jockey Club the French equivalent quite favourably, so may well end up going that route, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lottery at this kind of stage of the season, trying to predict which Guineas, which Derby these horses are going to go to. I think the biggest story when it comes to that kind of rhetoric is of Tahiyra, who, as it stands, is going to line up. I think we had confirmation from Dermot Weld that she is confirmed to run on Sunday in the 1,000 guineas, which is exciting for many people, none more so than our own Will Hurd, who joined us for our flat season preview. He was absolutely buzzing wherever she ran. I think the quote was that he was going to rob his granny the night before she ran. So Saturday night, Will's meant to be staying with me in Newmarket, but I think he actually may have to pay a trip to his granny instead. So Tahiyra is going to be running there. You excited?
Yeah, really excited, and actually quite surprised that Dermot Weld did end up sending her here. I think his previous track record has suggested that he probably wouldn't have gone here, and the Irish version was far more likely. But great to see her turn up here. Yeah, I'm excited about Will's excitement for this horse. And he's a good judge, and he is really, really excited about this horse. We did watch her Moigler win back, and it was mightily impressive. I mean, we like Meditate as a horse as well, and those two drew well clear of the rest of the field, and bearing in mind that was Tahira's second run. I'm sure we'll get onto it more, but that was hugely impressive. So yeah, she's got to be of interest for the 1,000, but as I said, we'll get on to that probably later in the show.
Yeah, we will indeed. We're going to start our preview for this racing. We're just going to take you through the big pattern races, and we'll start with the Bet365 mile on the Friday, where another one of your horses to follow. How have you got so many?
Mate, I was about to mention this because it feels like it sounds as though I've just basically suggested all the good horses in England, but I promise they've just sort of been running early
we
season.
were only allowed two.
Yeah, so sorry. And
Auguste Rodin was also one of those.
No, when I've said horses to follow, Auguste Rodin and Laurel were my two horses to follow.
Okay.
But Nature Trail was like my older horse.
We still owe someone champagne. We owe Charlie Seddon a bottle of champagne for Laurel. So let's get that in. We'll
sort that out. Yeah, that's on me. But Nature Trail was my one of my older horses to follow. I thought it was so interesting that he stays in training. And obviously he's a warm favourite for this race, the Bet365 mile. I can hardly desert him on seasonal reappearance. 5-4 is pretty skinny, but he is a course and distance winner. For all the reasons I said in the flat season preview. He was a fantastic juvenile, didn't disgrace himself last year. Very interesting. They've kept him in training. And though he will have bigger targets later down the line, I think he could be the leading light in this mile division this year. So a race of this standard really should be his for the taking as he goes on to bigger things later down the line.
Yeah, Native Trail really had the world at his feet at the end of his 2-year-old career. Some interesting horses, Light Infantry has run there or thereabouts in those big races. Last year, that second behind Tenebris at Deauville was impressive, but yeah, I think Native Trail is going to take the world of beating here. Charlie Appleby was pretty bullish actually on Native Trail. I think the original plan was to go to Ascot this week for the Paradise Stakes. Ended up avoiding that in favour of this race. Native Trail's won at the track before, clearly, and
Yeah, look, I think he definitely should win. I think actually, my personal opinion, the best of the rest would be Mutasabek here. May not boast the form of a Light Infantry, for example, and certainly not a Native Trail, but I do think his Rolling Mile form is something to take note of. He's won 3 times at the course in just 4 runs, and of course he went off only 6-1 for the 2,000 guineas 2 years ago. So, he was a touted horse. I mean, he will be carrying a £3 penalty here, and I think Native Trail should win this race. But no, Mutasabek would be my best of the rest, though it's a small field, of course.
Yeah, it's difficult though. I mean, I think earlier when I looked at it, I thought that Joel Stakes form didn't look great for Mutasabek after Tempest came out today, finishing last of the 5 at Ascot. I guess difficult on reappearance, but it really does look as if this is a good opportunity for Native Trail to get back on track, get back to winning ways, and hopefully is going to be a leading light in that 1 mile division this year. That's the only race we're going to be previewing on the Friday. So let's head over to the Saturday, which will be... I just hope I wake up on the Saturday morning, to be honest. Like, we've got a few friends coming to mine on Friday night. Hopefully Native Trail runs in. That would lift the spirits a bit. Get the barbecue out for the first time. We've got 10 of us around the dinner table.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't get too carried away.
Nah,
and
you never do, though. You always bounce back on Guineas morning. We've definitely woken up in some bad states, but just remembered what day it was and been like, okay, we go. We get up, we go.
Yeah, there've definitely been some kind of sweaty moments from our friends sitting on the sofa having their breakfast, struggling to get through the bacon and eggs that my parents very kindly served them.
Yeah.
But it's really each their own on the Guineas weekend, to be honest. It's a real... It often falls in line with the bank holiday as well, which just adds to the fun.
Yeah. We could actually, for the Sunday, before we preview the Sunday, we could recount a story that I have that is quite funny for listeners, but let's see. Yeah,
let's see how we get on with the preview. We're going to be touching 2 races on the Saturday, the Palace House Stakes, which is the big sprint, and the big one of the weekend, I guess, unless you're American, the 2,000 guineas. Let's start, though, with the Palace House Stakes. Currently, Manukyan is the favourite, 4-1. Twilight Calls 4s, Living the Dream 8s, Racel 10s, Far Dream 12s, Chipstead 14s alongside Equality, Equilateral 14s as well, Corker, Arecibo 16s, Silky Wilkie the same. Let's leave the market there for now. Really interesting field, always a difficult punting race with lots of sprinters making their debut. Course form's quite important. How do you analyse this race, and who do you think has the best chance?
Yeah, it's a notoriously difficult race, this one. I actually do remember a few years back we were there. We lined one up for this race, a horse called Havana Gold. Was it Havana Grey? Havana Grey, sorry. Havana Grey. Havana Gold, very different horse. But yeah, we lined this one up. I remember he run at the Craven meeting, and then we sort of plotted out the trip here for the Palace House.
I think it went off at 11-8 in the end.
Well, because we backed him at 4-1, went off 11-8, didn't end up winning this race. Mabs Cross won, and I just could not understand where we'd gone wrong.
I think you quit punting after that, didn't you?
I genuinely might have. It sticks in my memory, and I just can't get over it. But anyway, sorry, we'll move on for that. Yeah, I mean, this to be fair, this does. The market often gets this race close enough, though favourites, haven't always been winning. The top 3 in the market have won this race, or one of the top 3 in the market have won this race for the last 5 years, I think it is. I think Twilight Calls has probably got the best form. That second in the King's Stand is obviously notable, but behind Nature Strip, the Australian horse. He is also a course and distance winner, and was obviously, in fact, a close 5th as well in the race last year when he was sent off 3-1 favourite. So I think he's got good credentials. He also goes well fresh, having won on reappearance on his last 2. I think soft ground would be a negative, but at this point, what is good firm now, we don't quite know what the forecast is.
Yeah, it was a sunny day today. I think there's a bit of rain forecast towards the end of the week, but I don't think it's going to take it anywhere through good ground. I think I agree with you largely. Ryan Moore's absolutely flying at the moment as well. He's striking at 40%. 8 wins from his last 20, which is actually just crazy. But if there's one jockey that's going to do it, it is Ryan Moore. Yeah. He gets all the best rides, and I think big plus, no offence to David Probert, but a big plus for Twilight Calls having Ryan Moore on board. I think Twilight Calls would be my pick as well. But I think there's a couple of outside odds, the likes of Equilateral. Charles Hills has had a good start to the season. same colours as Royal Scotsman, who they'll be hoping will carry them to glory in the 2000 Guineas in the race after. And then I guess the other one, Arecibo, was one at the course before. Jamie Spencer on board would be a negative, but has finished second the last 2 times to Live in the Dream, who is at 8-1. So purely on a kind of discrepancy basis.
Yeah.
And with having that course form, the Robert Cowell runner would be of interest, but I do think Twilight Calls is the most likely winner here.
Yes. Yeah, the older horses are interesting. I agree with Equilateral, but I don't know. Like, there are a few younger ones in this field, Twilight Calls included, that probably have a bit of a sexier profile. Yeah, mate, it's a notoriously difficult race. So let's see what happens.
Let's move on then to the big one of the weekend, arguably the big one of the year, given that we're such Newmarket maxis. The 2000 Guineas, sponsored by Kipco. Auguste Rodin is the favourite, smashed up 13-8 now, best price. We were tipping him at 3-1 in our preview. Little Big Bear is 11-2. Chaldine, who barely managed to get out of didn't even let his jockey out the stalls last time in the Greenham Stakes, 13-2. Royal Scotsman 8s alongside Sakir. Roger Varian's now had a winner, which is good news. Silver Knot 12s, Noble Style 20s, Holloway Boy 25s alongside the Craven winner Indestructible. Dubai Miles, an interesting runner at 33-1. Flight Plan, I know Will Hurd said was one of Carl Burke's best 2-year-olds at 50s. Charon 60s, Cairo 100, Gal Iran is 100s, and High Royal brings up the rear. I mean, there's been so much chat about Auguste Rodin.
Hey, I know. And to be fair, for those of you who listen to our flat season preview, you may well have taken the nicer prices. We did advise around 3-1. I remember I told you at around 5-1 that I thought he was the biggest each way bet that I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
13-8 is now looking a bit skinny, and I'll probably just sit here being a bit smug saying, yeah, I tipped him at 3-1 and sort of, let's see what happens. I'm not going to be backing him or advising to back him at 13-8 now, but I do expect him to win.
Yeah.
So instead, what I'm going to do is have a little look at the places and see if, we can try and get one to run into a place. For that, I quite like the profile of Indestructible. I mean, Amma Racing have obviously been flying early season. They've clearly instructed their trainers to get horses ready first time out, and they've been duly obliging. Indestructible was one of those. He won the Craven beating the Foxes into second. And yeah, the Craven's proven like a pretty decent form line for the Guineas in recent years. Craven winners don't then go and win the Guineas. The last time that happened was in 2004, but they do go on and run well. Obviously, Native Trail was the Craven winner last year, who came second in the English Guineas and then went on to win the Irish Guineas. So yeah, they've got a good enough record going from the Craven to here, and I just think Indestructible looks like a pretty solid profile. He's also got some good juvenile form ties with Chaldine, who's obviously a fair bit shorter than the 25-1 you can get about Indestructible at the moment. So I think I'd be taking him probably at the prices just to run into a place. I don't expect him to win. I do expect Auguste Rodin to win, but I like Indestructible at 25-1. And yeah, I might let you. I actually don't know who you're going to tip, so I'll let you speak now and see what.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be backing Auguste Rodin at this shorter price. I think you've got to be really bullish to get stuck in to Auguste Rodin at 13-8, and I'd rather try and get him beat and make some place money. Silver Knot was one that I fancied in our preview. We thought was going to go to the French Guineas, but turns up here and Will Buick takes the ride, which is always a positive. Charlie Appleby had the 1-2 last year. He has, however, said this year that they really do have the 2 O'Brien ones to beat, and we shouldn't be fooled. Like, it's not that these 2 runners are massively overpriced. Like, the O'Briens do deserve to be at the top of the market. That being said, Silver Knot beat Epictetus. Epictetus, close form ties, was second in the Vertem Futurity behind Auguste Rodin. So Silver Knot's got that form. I think at an even bigger price, Dubai Mile is quite interesting. Was second in the Royal Lodge behind the Foxes, who came second in that Craven. Potentially could have won it. And the time before that, Dubai Mile beat Flying Honours, who won the Zetland Stakes at the end of the season. So, and I had heard a positive piece from Charlie Johnson, who was saying that he's happy to have runners in these big races, and maybe that one's been slightly overlooked when you've got the likes of Sakir at 8s. These ones who have run consistently well as 2-year-olds. I think you can definitely sneak one in to the places at a big price in 2,000 guineas. And for as much as I love Auguste Rodin, I do think Silver Knot and Dubai Mile, I literally tipped the whole field. But it's a really difficult race, and I did like Auguste Rodin at 3s. Different proposition at 13-8.
Yeah, I mean, for those interested, I definitely recommend going back and listening to our flat preview and the reasons as to why we like Auguste Rodin. I won't get into it now, but we made a pretty strong case for him in that podcast. I think just interestingly on the 2 Godolphin runners, obviously you mentioned they got the 1-2 last year. It's notable that William Buick chooses to ride Silver Knot in this as opposed to Noble Star, who probably has the more exciting profile. I mean, obviously he wasn't seen after winning the Gimcrack, was it? But he is unbeaten, obviously, and definitely exciting, though maybe better over sprint distances. It's hard to know at the moment. I wonder if in the back of Will Buick's mind he's just thinking, because Silver Knot won the Autumn Stakes, which was the same race that Caribus won before going on to win the 2,000 guineas. I wonder if he sort of has that in the back of his mind, thinking, I don't want to get it wrong again, which may be why he's going for Silver Knot. So wouldn't rule out Noble Star. Just for the sake of our listeners, what do you like? Why do you not think Little Big Bear? I mean, I was massively keen on him last year. Like, he was my ride or die horse, and it did very well for me.
I actually do think that he's getting to a backable price now. At 11-2 is pretty juicy for a horse that destroyed the field in the Phoenix Stakes. Beating the likes of Brad Sell, who we saw today at Ascot, who came second, like proper horses, is rated a few pounds superior to Auguste Rodin as well. And although a lot of critics saying that Little Big Bear won't stay, there is nothing in the pedigree to suggest that, given the breeding on the dam side has stamina in it. There's lots of arc form in there. So I think maybe we overplayed it a bit too much with that 10 Sovereigns Magna Graecia likeliness that we were going through in our preview. I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday. I'm still with Auguste Rodin overall.
You can't forget that 10 Sovereigns is also by No Nay Never, who's the stallion to Little Big Bear. No, and 10 Sovereigns is a good sprinter, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of similarities. I think then both of us, Auguste Rodin, at 3-1. Let's just remember that.
Yeah.
And for me, Silver Knot and Dubai Mile to get in the places.
Yeah, I want to be clear at this point. Indestructible is my tip. But yeah, take him each way.
Great. That is the Saturday. We'll be putting our wallets back in our pockets after that and enjoying the festivities at Newmarket. We'll wake up on Sunday potentially with slightly sore heads.
Do you want my story now?
Yeah, go for it. Story time.
So, no, it just reminded me a few years ago. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but we had a sort of characteristically big night on the Saturday after the Guineas, as is tradition these days, to go to Greg James and then have a bit of a dance and stay up very late. I remember we must have gone to bed in the pretty early hours, and we'd had lunch booked with my with my grandparents the next day, and unfortunately we woke up. Our alarm obviously missed both of our alarms, and woke up a bit late.
Was that the Jockey Club rooms as well?
Yeah, so it was a very nice, very smart lunch. And we turn up genuinely an hour and a half late to this lunch with my grandparents,
stinking of booze,
and their friends as well. It was a very nice invite.
I thought we were pretty charming though.
Yeah, no, they did find it quite funny in the end, but I was like, oh god, this was so embarrassing. And yeah, as Trish says, we walked in there just stinking of alcohol from the night before. So we got a few dodgy looks from some of the patrons in the Jockey Club rooms, but yeah, you can get it wrong on a Saturday night in Newmarket if you try.
I'm not sure I'm going to be turning up to the races on the Sunday. I think I'm more likely to be watching it on the sofa with a hot water bottle and a cold towel on my head. But let's cover the racing anyway. Luckily, we're feeling fresh right now. The Gordon Richards Stakes is the first one we're going to cover, which is rescheduled from its running at Sandown, which wasn't able to happen because of dodgy ground. At the moment, Adayar is a strong favourite here. Current prices about the evens mark. Anmart, West Wind Blows, Francesco Clemente, Highland Avenue, and Migration, and Regal Reality, fill the field. Fascinating encounter. Great to see Adayar back on the track. An interesting, unbeaten one of the Gosdens in here. How do you see this one going? Do you think it's going to make any difference that it's not at Sandown? How does that affect this race?
Well, yeah. I mean, it will make a difference, of course. A change of course tends to do that. But I don't have a strong opinion on this race, to be honest. I think Adayar is by far the form horse in this race, though actually he's only rated £3 higher than Anmart. But for this race, Anmart will be giving Adayar £5. So I think Adayar should win this on reappearance, but at evens, I'm less interested, and I'll be looking elsewhere. Francesco Clemente is interesting, a horse who has won at the course before and over the distance as well, and as you say, is unbeaten, though admittedly in lesser races. I mean, John Gosden's always, he's known for doing well with these older horses, and it's interesting how this one's been campaigned so far. He never ran as a 2-year-old, so I mean, look, mate, I'm gonna leave it. But do you have anything to add? I don't know.
I think Francesco Clemente is definitely going to be on the up. The taking thing when I was looking through it was that Adayar returned after almost a year off last year and managed to put up a performance rated by the Racing Post 1, 2, 3, which should be easily good enough, especially getting weight from some of those horses. Francesco Clemente is interesting, and look, the Gosdens have had a number of unraced winners from the younger ranks come out already this season. There's nothing to say that this one can't win. Adayar is one of the top horses in training, and they're trying to increase his stud value by as much as possible. I'm sure picking up another Group 3 will add a couple of pounds on that. So, I think Charlie Appleby, they were sad to miss the first half of the season last year, and I think they're going to make the most of it this year. Yeah,
and, look, Adayar is a Derby winner. I know there's a sort of supposed curse on Derby winners these days, but he's definitely the quality horse in this field in my mind.
Yeah, when Charlie Appleby was asked earlier in the season the one horse he was excited for this season, it was Adayar, and he said that very quickly. So I think we can be excited about this one. Hopefully he gets back to winning ways on Saturday. Will Buick's the king of the Rolling Mile, so I'm sure we're going to see a good performance there. The Dahlia Stakes is the next one that we're going to be covering on the Sunday. Group 2, Andre Fabre sends a couple. He's won it a couple of times before. With the Moonlight's currently the favourite for Charlie Appleby. Life in Motion is one of the Andre Fabre runners. Also at the top, Prosperous Voyage 4-1 was second in the 1,000 guineas last year. Al Hassan for Roger Varian at 7s. Via Sistina, George Bowie 8s. Above the Curve 10s. Shara is 12s. Astral Bow 14s. Let's leave it there for now. Really good race this. Quite competitive, but also some really very different form lines coming. You've got French form, you've got Saratoga form from the Appleby one at the top, and then that top class 1,000 guineas form from Prosperous Voyage on the track. Which do you think is stronger? Who's gonna win?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it all the more difficult to judge this race. As you say, with the Moonlight, is a bit of a globetrotter. Barely been seen, or hasn't been seen in this country since the Oaks, when finishing quite far down the field. She's obviously interesting on her international form, but whether that quite translates to back here, I'm not so certain, and I'd be willing to leave it based on that unknown. Life in Motion, again, I'm no judge on the French form, and there's not many English lines within that to sort of give a good comparison, so I'd probably leave her as well, though taking that Fabre has won this race a couple of times, a French trainer winning an English race on a couple of occasions, you've always got to take note. Prosperous Voyage, I think, has the best form here. Her second in the 1,000 guineas behind Cachet last year was a good run, and she ran in behind Innsbruck twice and beat her once as well, didn't she?
Yeah, I think
on the July course.
I think the firmer the ground for Prosperous Voyage, the better. But I do think she'll appreciate that step up in trip.
Yeah, I actually landed on one who I don't think necessarily has the class of the top, let's say, 3 in the market, but she's got an improving profile, and I think was quite a shrewd little pickup from George Bowie, and that's Via Sistina. So she has, since moving to the Bowie yard, she's run 2 very good races. She placed once in the next second in a Group 3 actually at the Roly Mile, and then went out to France and won a Group 3 in Toulouse. That seems like some great placing from George Bowie there to go get her to win a Group 3 out in France.
Didn't know they were even racing in Toulouse.
Literally. And so, I think it's just a bit of a shrewd pickup from this team.
He's a shrewd guy, George.
He's definitely clever. Yeah. He's got a good recruit here. Her form on the Roly Mile, including that next second in a Group 3, she's also won at the course as well. So that's a plus for her. I don't think Spencer's a negative here. I take your point in sort of the sprints, but I think actually he could run it a canny race here. She may benefit from rain. She's the opposite to Prosperous Voyage. She may want a bit of cut in the ground, but other than that, I think at 8-1, she may be quite a decent bet.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it seems like a wide open race, this.
Yeah.
Prosperous Voyage was definitely the one that I fancied. I was on her last year in the 1,000 guineas, just denied at 33-1, which was pretty tough. I think she loves the track, and I think she's got the best chance out of those market principles, really. I think she's going to love the extra furlong. She always seems to stay up that hill very strongly. It's difficult. I don't love horses when I have Frankie on them anymore, which is a shame, because I love him as a jockey, but I don't get that kind of buzz I do when you see a Ryan Moore or an Oisin Murphy or a Will Buick on there. But I hope Frankie can prove me wrong on Sunday. He's going to have an incredible farewell year this weekend in particular, with his special affiliation, in his hometown at Newmarket. So the Dahlia Stakes is interesting. Prosperous Voyage for me. Let's move on then to the final race that we're covering this weekend, the 1,000 Guineas, where we are graced with the presence of Tahiyra, who was standout in her 2 runs last season. She absolutely destroyed Meditate and some other really good fillies in her second run. It was unknown whether she was going to turn up here for a while. Looked like she was going to go for the Irish Guineas, which is Dermot Well's tried and tested route. But looks like she's ready because she's coming over. Dermot Well's only ever trained 2 winners from 22 runners at Newmarket, which is an interesting fact. Meditate is slightly behind her in the market. Tahiyra currently 5-2, Meditate 9-2. Mama's Girl 6s, Remarquee won the Fred Darling at 7s, Dream of Love 8s, Lazoo 16s alongside Morge, Stenton Glider 25s, Naomi Lapaglia 33s alongside Never Ending Story, who's interesting, but I think probably not going to run. Power Dress 33s. We'll leave the market there. It seems to be all about Tahiyra, definitely in the media this week. Is it all about Tahiyra for you?
I don't know. I really respect her, and I think like watching that Moyglare run back, the way she just travelled all over Meditate, and Ryan looked so confident on Meditate as well, which is what was so cool about that race. I mean, that makes her look very impressive. And I know you rolled out the stat there about Dermot Well's record at Newmarket, which is definitely fair enough, and fair enough to highlight for our listeners. But I doubt he's gone to Newmarket with many more exciting, at least, than this one. She looks a real talent and very exciting. And like, it's weird, like 5-2. She should be shorter, shouldn't she?
Well, this is it, mate. If you compare this market to the 2,000 Guineas market, you've got Tahiyra at 5-2, Meditate at 9-2. In the other, it's Auguste Rodin 13-8 compared to Little Big Bears 11-2. They've never run against each other. But there's a bigger discrepancy between them. I mean, the O'Brien boys, they must be seriously bullish on Auguste Rodin for him to take that much money.
Yeah, it's a good point, and like
because Tahiyra's smashed up Meditate.
Mate, I agree, and I'm really actually quite surprised to see her at 5-2. For that reason alone, I'd almost just say back her, because I think it is definitely a backable price, and she's that good. She's beaten the O'Brien likely best runner in this race. In fact, probably likely the only runner in this field for him. So yeah, I do like her. I definitely like her. I'm probably going to leave the backing her to Will Hurd, who'll put enough money on for the both of us. So.
Poor granny on Saturday.
Yeah. How do you want to do this? Because I actually like the one that you tipped up in our preview.
Yeah, she's my horse to follow. I mean, I love Morge. I thought she was more of a 12 shot, but she's back out at 16s now. She's done nothing wrong this year. Stepped up to the mile. I think a lot of the judges are making quite a lot of her reappearance run at Maydam, where like Dream of Love finished seriously well, but that was on soft ground. Like Dream of Love came from nowhere to finish second, but Morge, ground them all into the ground, and I want that style of running at Newmarket. You want to be up at the front, and Morge came out then on better ground and won by 8 lengths against I think it was Fairy Cross, who came and went second in the Nell Gwyn. So I think that form's rock solid. And
then you look back at her 2-year-old form, and it's just as good, right? Like she's run against Lazoo, beaten Lazoo. She's run close with Meditate at Royal Ascot. She has, I mean, look, she's been there or thereabouts with the big contenders in this. I really like her profile at it's a general 14-1 shot for this race. And
Oisin Murphy, I think, is probably the best jockey out there as well. Aside from maybe Will Buick on the Rowley Mile. Well, Oisin Murphy is top quality.
Oh, he's so good, mate. And then this one also has proven to like the Rowley Mile as well. She's won at the course before, and then third in the Cheveley Park on her last run in the UK last year.
I've been backing her. I was backing her 25s a few weeks ago. 60. I thought she'd be a bit shorter, to be honest, than she is. So I'm pretty happy to see this price available. I'll be tipping her up to all my friends. And obviously Tahiyra is going to be big. I'll probably also have some money on her just because she's the price she is at the moment. I think 5-2 is big. But yeah, I mean, Morge is equally exciting. Maybe not quite as much so, more exposed as well with the 2 runs this year. But to be honest, I think that's a bit of a strength. You know what you're going to get.
100%. She's been taking over. She ran over a mile, won over a mile, very impressively, as you said. That was the Jumeirah Guineas over in Meydan. So she's already won 8 Guineas, even if it wasn't a very big one. Yeah, mate. I think she's got a strong profile. I like her for this. I think you're probably getting a bit of extra juice in the price because of the sort of Saeed bin Saror as opposed to Charlie Appleby factor as well. He's maybe a less popular trainer. So yeah, very nice. But I also do agree you're stealing a price at 5-2 with Tahiyra. So yeah, I'd be happy to back both of those. The one other I did like at a big price. Well, I say big, like 33-1. I thought Power Dress was really interesting. I mean, she's probably not got the experience to go win a Guineas, but her reappearance run on only her second start in her career, having only run once as a 2-year-old, was a good third in a race at Newmarket and behind Majestic Pride and Holguin, who are both pretty good horses. She finished off her race really well, and I think she was the one probably to take out of that race. I don't think she's going to win a Guineas, as I say, but she may be one just to watch, see how she finishes.
Yeah. Similar-ish to Bilston Brook for the same trainer.
Good point, yeah.
Who won at 66-1. To be fair, Bilston Brook had a bit more experience, but those big price winners, they do spring a surprise in the 1,000 Guineas in particular. That is it. Our Guineas preview is over. I'm seriously excited. I need to go to bed now for a little bit, and it's going to be good. Hopefully, we'll see lots of our listeners at the track. If you do, come up, and we'll buy you a beer. Yeah. If Morge can win the 1,000 Guineas, which is on the Sunday, so we might not see you there. Last closing words.
Mate, there's not much to say really beyond what we've already spoken about. It's a hugely exciting weekend. I will have the most fun I'm going to have this weekend. I know it. I'm confident of that. I just can't wait. I'd love to see Auguste Rodin win. I'd love to see... I don't know. I'd love to see Tahiyra win as well, to be fair, which is boring 2 favourites. But let's just see what happens. I'm excited whatever happens. And yeah, we hope to see some of you there.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on the way to the races, we'll see you at the bar. That's all from us. It's a goodbye from me, Tris.
And it's a goodbye from me, Charlie.
Goodbye.
Bye.